Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. We owe Representative Al Green of Houston, Texas, a serious debt of gratitude for standing up to Trump regarding Medicaid. I've been planning to do this video, but today is the perfect time to do it. Truth is, Green was actually fighting for black families, black women, and black children more than anybody in that building on that day. Because the numbers don't lie, folks. Medicaid is not just a regular health care program. It's literally a lifeline for over 11 million African-American people. So cutting it isn't just about saving money. It's about pushing a lot of black folks deeper into poverty. It's also about worsening the health disparities that we have in this country. And yes, it's also about reinforcing systemic racism. So today, I'm breaking down the real impact of any Medicaid cut. Now, Trump has said there will be no Medicaid cuts, but many doubt that very seriously in order to reach the kinds of cuts that they have already said are needed. And Elon Musk, who is driving all these cuts, has said Medicaid and the other entitlement programs must be cut. So we'll see how this works out. So why black children and black women will suffer the most if Elon gets his way? And why is Trump's so-called mandate to cut Medicaid, why is it based on a lie? I'm going to explain that. And also why Representative Al Green was absolutely right to call Trump out about this so-called mandate. Because less than half of the American people actually voted for Trump. That doesn't sound like a mandate. But we got a lot more to look at here. So stay locked in because this is the breakdown that so many people don't want you to hear. I have seen and heard so many people disparage Representative Al Green for taking that stand. I don't, and we shouldn't, because he was standing again for black women and black children the most. So what did he do? So here's what happened. Trump stood before Congress and said he had a mandate to cut Medicaid, and Representative Green wasn't having any of that. He called Trump out on the spot. Now, instead of focusing on the real issue, there are a whole lot of folks who are trying to distract us, right? And oh, by the way, Representative Green was censored in the well of the Congress. That was horrendous when I looked at that. Knowing that Representative Green had indeed taken a principled stand on behalf of African-American women and children, I was actually incensed watching that. And it also just really rubs me wrong to see all these people disparaging Representative Green, a man who's almost 80 years old and has been in the fight for African Americans for many, 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 many years. All right? Folks have said, for example, he's out of touch, that Medicaid doesn't mean much of anything to black people. Folks are literally saying that Medicaid doesn't mean much of anything to black people. And that makes me think, where are these people coming from? Why aren't they doing their research before saying these things? Because here's the truth of the matter. 34.6% of Medicaid recipients are black. 34.6% of Medicaid recipients are black people. That is over a third, although blacks only comprise 14% of the population. So that means we're like 2.5 times more likely to be on Medicaid than any other group in America. 21.4% of adult Medicaid recipients are Black, mostly women. This means Black adults are almost 2 times more likely to be on Medicaid than others. And regarding Black children, 29.8% of children on Medicaid are Black children. That means 1 out of every 3 children on Medicaid is Black. This also means Black children are 9 times more likely to be on Medicaid than other children. So we are grossly overrepresented on Medicaid. So who takes the biggest hit if Medicaid is gutted, or even if there are modest cuts? It would be Black women and Black children, period. So cutting Medicaid would make it even harder for Black mothers to get prenatal care, postpartum care, and essential health services for their children. And also, a whole lot of the Black babies that are born every year, Medicaid pays for those births and deliveries. You follow my point here? So when Representative Green stood against Trump claiming he has a mandate to cut Medicaid, then again, that means we owe him a debt of gratitude. I mean, a serious debt of gratitude. And you know what? We African American men may be the ones who owe him the most. All right, so let's have a real conversation. If more Black men stepped up and took financial responsibility for their children, would so many Black women and children even need Medicaid in the first place? I'm just asking a question. And before you get angry, let me say for the record, as I've said so many times, the system is designed to trap Black men in poverty just as much as it is Black women. So a whole lot of the reason why Black men don't step up or are unable to step up is because of systemic racism. Yet, at the same time, we have to acknowledge that the Black family structure in our community is broken. And that's why so many Black women and Black children depend on Medicaid for their health care, unfortunately. So if we had more fathers in the home, more financial stability, stronger Black family units, that would reduce our need to be on Medicaid, right? That means fewer mothers, Black mothers and Black kids would be depending on Medicaid just to survive quite often. Now, here is the Trump, MAGA, and GOP hypocrisy, because it's not just Black people on Medicaid. White Americans depend on Medicaid more than they want to admit. They don't like to admit it. They like to make it seem like it's a Black problem. But that's not true. Here's where it gets very interesting. 41% of adult Medicaid recipients are white. So the truth of the matter is, when Representative Al Green stood, he was also standing for white people, because more of them get Medicaid than anyone. 38.8% of children on Medicaid are white children. That means white Americans make up the largest racial group on Medicaid. However, Black women and children are disproportionately represented as enrollees on Medicaid, because we have low population percentages, but high percentages of being on Medicaid. So cuts in Medicaid would hurt Black people disproportionately. Yet when it comes time to talk about budget cuts, they push that narrative that it's all about Blacks and other minorities. This is why Trump and the GOP don't want you to know the truth about this. Medicaid cuts don't just hurt Black people. They hurt white people, Asian people, Latino people as well. But instead of fixing the system, they'd rather let millions suffer just to uphold and implement their political agenda, taking health care from the most neediest people so that they can get more in tax cuts. So what happens if these cuts go through? Here's what's going to happen. Black children will lose health care, leading to higher child mortality rate, leading to higher Black children mortality rates. Black mothers will lose access to vital prenatal and postpartum care. And that's just going to worsen the maternal death crisis that Black women are already facing, folks. Hospitals in low-income Black neighborhoods will close, most likely, limiting access to medical care. Elderly African Americans who rely on Medicaid for nursing home care will be forced into worse conditions. And this is a good place for me to make the point that Medicaid is not just about older people. It is about Black mothers, young Black mothers, and their children. Don't let anyone tell you that this is just about older people. In fact, Medicare is where you find most older people. Medicaid is for people who are in need. So again, this isn't just about budget cuts. It's a direct attack on Black people and our survival, our health care. And Al Green had every right to fight back, to stand up for Black women and Black children, and at the same time, for white people and their children. Now, here's where the pro-Black imposters and the Black conservatives continue to fail Black people. First, they hate the Democrats. I mean, just hate the Democratic Party. Just flat out hate the Democratic Party. And they don't show any smoke, any problems with the GOP. Although it's the Democrats that push the policies and the programs that help the most vulnerable African Americans. Yet, the Black conservatives and the pro-Black imposters have all the heat, all the fire just for the Democrats. Nothing is said to the GOP for blocking every type of initiative to empower, to help Black people. That tells me that there's a dead cat on the line. All right? Second, they talk about Black wealth, but they ignore the systems that keep Black people poor. Systems that are implemented by the party that they keep helping get reelected. The GOP. What's going on here? It makes no sense. You can't say you're about Black economic power while helping the political party that opposes Black economic power stay in power. That is cognitive dissonance. That's gaslighting. That's exactly what that is. I mean, do you think we're fools? You say that you love Black people, you want to empower Black people, you want Black people to get the bag, you want Black people to get reparations, yet you keep helping the party that is anti-Black, anti-reparations, anti-Black economic power stay in power. So what are you doing here? I mean, you are peeing on our legs and telling us it's rain. Come on. Come on, you can't have it both ways. You can't be pro-Black and pro-Trump. You can't be pro-Black and pro-MAGA. You can't be pro-Black and help that crowd win presidential elections. You just can't say you're about Black economic power while ignoring the fact that millions of Black women and children rely on Medicaid for survival. For survival. And again, I just got to say, why do so many Black women and children even need Medicaid in the first place? Would more black fathers stepping up reduce the dependency on Medicaid in the black community? Now, I've already said, I know that we as African-American men, I've been one for 63 years, catch hell in this system. I get it. And I love black men. I have been fighting for black men for the last 40 years. I wrote a book to empower young black boys. My love, commitment, and dedication to black men in the black community cannot be questioned. Yes, I understand what we're up against, but we got to step up as men. And that perhaps will help reduce the need for Medicaid in our community. Right? And so that's why I'm asking you this uncomfortable question again. What role do we as African American men play in this? Because if we had more men under the same roof and married to the mother of their children, things would be a whole lot better in our community. So Representative Al Green was absolutely correct for standing. He was righteous for standing, and we owe him a debt of gratitude. So what he taught us was the real fight here is protecting Medicaid and other programs from billionaires like Trump and Elon, right, who have no problem with health insurance. They're not looking to some government program for survival, whereas our people are, because of 4 centuries of systemic racism that has affected both black men and women. And now you're going to come back and cut these programs and attack and besmirch Representative Al Green, who took a principled stand? No, we're not going to let that happen. It's not going to happen, not on our watch. Okay? So those are the things I wanted to say about Representative Green. It goes deeper than just him standing up that day. Him standing up was absolutely necessary, but I don't think a lot of people understand how important the stand he took was, especially for African American people. So now, let me just very briefly tell you what we need to be doing right in this hour. 1, we need to call out the disinformation when you hear it. And if you hear anyone besmirch Representative Al Green for standing for Medicaid, that's disinformation because, again, Medicaid provide insurance, medical insurance for over 11 million African American people. Also, contact your representative and demand that they protect Medicaid. Educate your community. I mean, too many people don't realize how these policies impact us. Okay? Also, share this video, start conversations about this. Make sure our people know what's happening. All right? I need you to do every bit of that to try to get this video out. Comment on it, like it, share it. Let's get the word out to protect Medicaid because so many in our community depend on it for medical insurance. All right? I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett, and until the next time, stay woke.